that's a tremendous looking trophy.
Welcome to the very special episode of Platinum Explosion. Do you know why, Ash?
Because it's episode 69.
Nice.
Is it really? I was just thinking the other day, like, I want to be on episode 69. We should get everyone here, but that ship sailed already.
Kieran's dead to us. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
anymore.
I was thinking of even getting Tom back.
Tom's dead to us. It doesn't-
No.
No, he's very much alive.
No, well, I didn't realize it was episode 69 until this morning when I went I opened my Word document to do my notes for the show, updated the number at the top, which said 68, and I was like, oh, well, if I add one, means we're at 69. There's two reasons why this is a good episode, because obviously, nice. And number two, we are officially at the point where this show will surpass Pleasure and be the Explosion Network's longest running product. Yeah. Rip. There you go. Good job, Platinum Explosion. Round of applause. You've survived. You're now the oldest
The little
member.
podcast that could.
Yeah.
Well, this podcast isn't out yet.
Yep.
While we're recording,
still
but
time
when you're
to
listening,
fuck it up.
It's out.
Look, over my dead body will it not come out. Joining me, as you heard, Ashley Hobley.
Hey. How you doing, Dylan?
I'm a bit sick today.
Bit sick?
But we push through.
Soldier through, because 69.
Soldier. Yeah, that's right. I hung upside down and then made my way over to my seat. Nicholas Pryor also joining us.
I feel like being able to breathe is very essential during 69.
Well, you only need to pop up for a fresh gasp every now and then, you know?
True. Full disclosure, I probably haven't turned my PlayStation on in about 3 months.
I don't think anyone who's listening to this show who knows you would expect any different. You know, if you're new to the show, head on over to twitch.tv/Explosion Network. We stream there. Nick just streams fucking flight sims these days.
Hey, at least it's not Tarkov.
That's right. And well, before that was like, which was on sale. He posted in our Discord. Join our Discord, explosionnetwork.com/Discord. I saw this morning. You posted that link because what's the game called?
IL2.
Yeah, IL2. I had a thing pop up on my news app where I've got it set for like specials and stuff, and I saw it was on there for like whatever % off, and I was like
66% off, in fact.
I was gonna post it, but I'm like, we've got it, and no one else is gonna care for it. But then you were like, maybe someone will. I'll post it in. I'll do it. You never know. I was like, I couldn't bring myself. Anyway. This is the Explosion Network's PlayStation podcast, #1 PlayStation podcast in the Oceanias. Sometimes
True.
Ash is never sure whenever I say that at all. It's always a look of
He's never sure this is the Oceanias or it's the #1.
he seems
Both.
unsure from both parts.
Maybe.
One could be a lie and one's not really a word, so they both made up. Some
I think
would say.
#1 is a real word.
You're correct.
That is true. That is a real word.
I want to start this week's show with what I found to be a mind-blowing story. Now, I don't know if this came out like a day or two after last week's episode we recorded, and I think it was around enough that maybe you've seen it. If you haven't, I'm about to blow your mind because it blew my brain. And maybe it doesn't affect you the way it did me, but let me tell you this. I'll just say this in one sentence. Nathan Drake is never hit by a bullet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I read that.
Did we all see this?
I saw the story.
It's luck.
You saw the story? It blew my fucking mind because,
Well, he is hit by a bullet. The last
well,
time.
it's one of those things that
The last
I
bullet.
read the title and then I was like, that is fucking nuts. So you dive into it. This is where it comes from. So Jonathan Cooper, who worked at Naughty Dog, I'm not sure. He didn't work on the first one because in the tweet that the story came from, he said, it says, I learned on joining the team. So he joined at least after #1, I suppose. Drake doesn't even take bullet damage. The red UI that shows hits is to represent his luck running out. Eventually, enemies will get a clear shot and kill him if he takes enough near misses. Now, you read this and you go, crazy guy, they've obviously fired him. Is this guy for lit? That sounds like absolute nonsense. Then Amy Hennig followed that up. Of course, the once was star writer of, well, I mean, still star writer, but once star writer at Naughty Dog, now left and then got kicked off another studio as well. So
What is she even up to these days?
nothing at the moment is the thing. She's had a string of bad luck, you could say.
She's working on indie stuff, from what I heard.
Yeah, well, she's
An
trying to
Indiana
start her own
Jones
studio.
game.
No,
No.
She said, if you thought that was a whole pile of baloney, to which I responded, yes, I did, Amy Hennig. Former Uncharted, blah, 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 Amy Hennig says, true. That was the original intention to stay more aligned with the spirit and tone of the films we're paying homage to. So, I mean, the spirit and tone is obviously Indiana Jones and whatever else, those types of stuff, which makes sense because Indiana Jones films, he'll get shot at a lot, managed to never get hit. Ever.
That's because they're all bad shots in Lucasfilms.
Possibly.
It's because they're using walkie-talkies.
I was still not sold on this story. I was still like, this is absolute bullshit. So I went to YouTube, typed in Uncharted 2, 3, you know, whatever, gameplay. Just show me gameplay. Let me stare at that character and see what's happening. And I mean, it's true. You never realize it, but it's true. Maybe someone can find a video where he actually does get shot, but I clicked through a bunch of different gameplay videos on YouTube, and it's a legit thing that no one ever noticed. The bullets fly past him, he goes red, your brain thinks he's getting shot or whatever, because that's kind of what you're used to in these types of games, you know, third-person shooters, you get shot, screen turns darker, red, whatever, stuff happens, but it's not... it doesn't make me want to go back and like replay them. However, it makes me, whenever I see footage of the game, makes me rethink the thing.
Did you look up gameplay from Golden Abyss?
Well, they probably fucked that one. They probably didn't. They probably didn't know the big secret that was he has a luck meter, not a health meter. Yeah. Anyone else think that was cool, or just me?
No,
I thought
it was pretty fascinating.
Pretty interesting. Doesn't really rock my world, but
I guess they saved time on blood splatter animations.
Not really, because there's blood from everybody else that you fucking shoot. The bajillion enemies you fucking kill.
But then
He's
you
a
don't
good
have
person.
you don't have to keep track of where he's been bleeding on his shirt and stuff. Because he never gets shot, so he never bleeds on his.
Do you ever get shot in any cutscenes?
Not from memory.
Your homework for next episode is go play all the games, Dylan.
I'm not going to do that. I've already played them. I'm good. All right, let's move on to another story. Back to, I feel like I've talked about it 3 weeks in a row. Or 3 out of 4 weeks, but it's We Happy Few.
It'll be new for me.
This is true. There's We Happy Few stuff, right? Obviously, the game was banned in Australia, then it was unbanned. That's the kind of the story. Now, we finally have a follow-up to the reasons behind the scenes and what they're planning to do about the classification system, because it is kind of fucked in Australia. But when it comes to games, I think it's fucked and it needs fixing, obviously. I don't really have a problem with the way they classify movies or music or anything like that. So
Does music get classified?
Music gets classified, yeah.
I've
But you
never
put the
seen a
albums where it has...
classification
You've never seen classifications on like rap albums and shit?
No, I've seen like this contains explicit content, but I never thought that was a mandatory government classification thing.
Pretty sure it is.
If you say
I mean,
so.
why are the stickers on there?
I just thought it was like self-imposed, I guess.
Self-imposed?
Well, it's like the rating system in America where you don't legally have to have it get it rated. It's like all the industry getting together saying we should do this, like the ESRB. That's not a government initiative over there. Mm-hmm. I just thought it was like they do it on their own initiative.
Our fucking rating thing should be a separate entity to the government thing. Really?
I don't think so.
Why?
Why should it?
Well, I think you could create a new board of people that aren't a bunch of old people sitting around fucking banning games left, right, and center.
Well, the issue is that they're running off guidelines. You can't really blame the people who are classifying it. It's the people who set the laws.
Well, you can
People
because
who
they're
set the laws
interpreting
are a
it
bunch of old
incorrectly.
Yeah, but they won't be old people forever.
No, eventually they die. That's true.
What's it like to be old, Ash? Give us some insight.
Yeah, it's disappointing.
It's disappointing. All right. So we happy for you. Story comes from Kotaku.com.au. Alex Walker wrote it, reporting. Now, this is a quote that they got from the review classification board. It says, as part of the review process, the classification review board, a separate body, took submissions from the developer, publisher, and the public, and around 88 submissions were received from
Is that it?
that was it. Yeah, and that, do you remember seeing that thread going around? A lot of people retweeting it, like,
Yeah.
saying, sign this, try to get its word around. But I presume most people, when they see that stuff, retweet it, and this kind of proves the point. Most people either just like it and retweet it, or retweet it and like it, and they don't actually bother following through.
Yeah, well, I never bothered.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I think I did it originally when they were pushing for an R18 rating, but since then I haven't really done anything like that.
I'm pretty sure the request was to like have some like substantial information about why it shouldn't be banned, rather
You had
than
to
just
write-
complaining that it is banned. That's
you had to
probably-
write something in the box. It wasn't like, do you think this game should be unbanned? Yes, no, submit.
Yeah.
And that's probably why a lot of people didn't do it, because it took more than 2 seconds. You
True.
know? More people would do it if it was a quick one question yes no poll. That people would be like, yeah, I've got 2 seconds on the shitter. I'll fill that out. That's fine. Got it. You want me to write something? What am I in school? Fuck off.
Well, normally when there's something like that going around, even like in American stuff, you go on Twitter or Reddit or something, and like they'll have like a pre-written message for you to copy and paste and put in there. Like someone's done putting the highlighted points and stuff to
Yeah.
yeah. But I never saw anything about that.
Well,
this
yeah,
time.
that's a good point. Someone could have set something like that up. We should have set something like that up and got mad
Yeah.
props. Fucked it up. It wouldn't even be hard. It would have been a simple paragraph to something like, if you
It'd
look
be
into
along the lines of adults should be free to choose whatever entertainment they.
well, I think that's if you want to challenge the classification board and like you're sending something off for them to change their criteria. I think for the We Happy Few thing in particular, it was just, hey, the thing that you banned the game for, the joy drug, if you look more closely at the game and get a bit more context, you'll find that it is a story thing. It's not a like
Drug
Hey,
promoting.
I've never tried drugs before, but this is going to be my analog to experience it. And if I enjoy the game, I'm going to start taking drugs. So please unban this.
I somehow feel like that is the exact opposite of what they wanted to hear from the scenario.
I think they wanted to hear that to validate their decision.
Well, that's also probably true. Mr. Walker continues, this is especially helpful for fans of We Happy Few. As part of the appeal process, Compulsion Games provided additional video and context. See, that's the thing. They got a chance to supply the additional context that spoils part of the plot and lore. Producer Sam Abbott told Kotaku that the appeal cost $10,000. That is fucking right. It cost them $10,000 to get this thing re-looked at. A hurdle they wouldn't have been able to surmount without the support of publisher Gearbox, which, that's another thing when you think back about games like Devolver putting through Hotline Miami 2, for instance, games banned. Are they going to pay $10,000 to try and get that appealed? Fuck no.
in Australia. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, fuck no. There's no way they're going to go
Especially with Hotline Miami 2, they wouldn't have had any like real recourse because there's no...
There's no way they would have made that money back in Australian sales.
No, not
No.
even that. But the fact that resubmit it, they could... There's not really more context they could have given to like justify the violence other than for violence.
That's true. But
No, wasn't it banned because it had like a rape thing? But that was like, it was meant to be like a film inside the
the
game.
yeah. I can't remember the reasons now, but
I don't know. I
mean,
just bought it on the American PSN and played it.
I think the thing is though, for these indie studios, if they have to pay $10,000,
Yeah,
it's just
a lot
crazy.
of money.
That's way too much money, and you can see why they wouldn't want to do that, and why places haven't done that in the past, and why without Gearbox, a huge publisher behind them, Compulsion would have been basically fucked on this account. Now, I saw people being like, well, actually no, I even saw Tom, that it was actually Tom I saw a bunch of people, but Tom was one person I saw tweet, you know, when the thing got reversed, was like, everyone go out and buy this game to show support, blah, 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 blah. Which at first I was like, well, that's not really good. That's not going to affect the classification board. They're not going to look at the sales numbers and go, oh, we was wrong to ban that. You know, from that side of things, I think going out to buy the game to show support, that's not going to affect the classification board. However, when you hear that they had to spend $10,000 to get the game to our shores, I would say, from that point of view,
Support them for their effort.
Support them on that part, yeah. Don't look at it and go, run out, buy the game, support it to try and say, fuck you to a classification board. That's making zero difference. Go out to support them for making the effort, for putting down the money.
If you want to effect change on the classification board, what you should do is go to your federal MP and at least write or call or whatever, highlighting the reasons why you think it should change.
Which people won't do because they struggle to fill out a simple fucking document on.
But that's how it's going to happen.
Yeah. And I mean, I can't say it. It's not like I've gone to my local.
The void isn't going to do anything.
Yeah, it's not like I've run to my local fucking MP to do it.
It bears the question of how much does the classification board play the game? How much do they play? Do they just watch short segments of the game? Like, do they have context to what's happening on the screen? Or
I don't think, from what I understand, they're not allowed. Like people putting the game forth aren't allowed to provide context or try and say, well, this scene works because then it's like they could be trying to sway,
kind of leading the witness.
Yeah, yeah. So it's just like, here it is, go. Yeah. And I presume from what I gather, it is no different than you taking the game home, putting it in the player, and going for it.
Yeah.
You know. So most of the time, I think they're just playing from the start, and they'll play for. I think, from what I read about We Happy Few, they played for like over a period of a couple of weeks or something, like, you know, a couple hours here, there, but blah, 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 blah. They didn't sit down for 2 hours and go, fuck it. You know, they got there for eventually over a long enough time. But it's
how much of it is subjective, or is it like, here's a checklist, if any of these boxes are ticked, that's it?
Yeah, well, the big
like drugs
no-nos
tick.
are the
No.
I'm pretty sure the drugs, as soon as you tick that big red box, it's just gone. That was the problem.
Regardless of the context or what's happening in the game.
Yeah, and they didn't have the context.
But then it goes to show, since they've overturned it, that it is kind of subjective as well. Because as far as I'm aware, they haven't changed anything in the game to get it released here. It's still exactly the same, but they've provided context as to what's happening.
Yes. So that was the thing. As soon as the story broke the first time, my thing straight away was, okay, so what'd they change?
Yeah.
You know? Because that's kind of what we're used to of South Park and whatever else. However, they didn't change anything, and they simply appealed the process, $10,000. Here's some context, which I think they're allowed to give when they appeal it. Like, they're not allowed to give this when they go for it, which is a whole different thing. And then the people who look at it when you appeal it are a different board to the original board.
Okay, righto.
So that's it. It's not the same people. It is different people going through saying, with context, was the people who looked over the game the first time wrong?
Yeah.
And then
they go from MDF to Pine.
Yeah. It's a really weird system, really, because then the other thing is, so this other board says, yes, the game is going to be We Happy Few, Australia, go for it. Now the original classification board, who's denied it, can't. There's no way for them to go no.
Yeah.
And appeal the now R rating. It's just, if this other board comes in, they get paid $10,000 and they basically get to give it the R rating and tick. No one else can appeal it. Which, I mean, I don't want people to be able to appeal.
It's kind of like your local court and high court.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's odd, but it's a thing. Blah, 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 cost $10,000. A hurdle they wouldn't, blah, blah, blah. The department also said they would consult extensively with industry stakeholders and community organisations in any amendments to the guidelines around video game classifications, but did not provide a timeline as to when said discussions might take place. So they said, more or less said, yes, we understand people want us to relook over the guidelines and to fix what the dealio with them is. However, we're probably not going to get to it for about 10 years.
Probably not.
Yeah. I feel like they've put it out there to say that we're going to do something to shut everyone up and then just put it on the back burner.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it works is that you like that from that Kotaku article, people in the comments like, yes, finally they need to look at it, blah, 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 blah. However, I'm a cynical and I understand people a bit, understand things a little bit more than some people I think. And I'm like, that shit ain't happening anytime fucking soon. Like, that is, sure. Will they get to it? Do I believe that they mean they'll get to it? Yeah. Tomorrow? No. Next year? No. 5 years? No. It's just not how it works. But yeah, moral of the story is we're getting We Happy Few. Classification board here is broken as far as I think that needs to be fixed.
What'd be interesting to see too is what the criteria is to selecting or board members. Like, do they exclude? Like, say if I applied, I obviously am a gamer and have opinions. Will I get excluded from the hiring process?
Good question. It's a good question, isn't it?
Because everyone's going to have a bit of bias. Like, how do they, I don't know, like weed that out, I guess.
I suppose you need to be unbiased to do the job somehow, I guess. It's no different than being a jury member, isn't it? To some degree.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean,
maybe they should do jury duty, kind of. They get a selection of 12 random people to send out the game and fucking rate it.
Dylan, you've been called in to rate the Kingdom Hearts 3. Oh, guess I gotta take some time off work to go do my video game classification.
Refuse classification because nobody should do this. Play this game.
Okay. Got anything on that for me, Ash?
No, you've covered it all.
Damn
Success.
Right. Damn right. All right, let's talk a little bit about CG Project Orange. Now, the great video game company. We talk about them a lot. We love them here.
Yeah.
And I've got two stories for this. I don't know why you all got funny looks in faces. We've got two stories from JewelShockers.com this week. One to do with The Witcher, one to do with Cyberpunk. Now, the first one excites me. I don't know if it looks like yours all, but I write the thing. In an interview with Logan Moore, they were talking to, doing an interview rounds for Cyberpunk, and he asked, do you happen to know who'll be scoring Cyberpunk 2077 yet? And he confirmed that it is going to be Marzin, whatever his fucking name is, who is the guy who did the score for The Witcher 3. And that's fucking fantastic to me, because I think that's one of the greatest video game soundtracks of all time, as far as I am aware. And Ash, you'd be hearing a lot these days. Critical Role use it now on their show.
Yeah,
that's right. Critical Role uses The Witcher music.
I noticed that.
The Witcher, yeah. I mean, they got permission, but they are using the music. And then he said, he asked the music that we saw in the trailer for 2077, is that the reflection of what we can expect from the score? And the response was, that's not his work. That is from a band called Hyper. Props to them. It's great. I think it's in line with what we're doing, but that's not specifically an in-house composition. I find this interesting because obviously the soundtrack for The Witcher 3 is very, orchestral.
Melodical.
Yeah, it's fantasy music. It is.
Yeah.
Flutes and whatever the fuck else you want to call it. But the music that we hear in the trailer for Cyberpunk makes sense for Cyberpunk. It is techno-y, electronic music, obviously.
Yep.
And they're saying that's in line with what they're going to do. So I think it'll be really interesting to have the guy who did the soundtrack for The Witcher 3 and The Witcher 2 and Gwent to go along. I'm not 100% sure if he did Witcher 1, because I didn't play enough of Witcher 1. But I think it's going to be interesting to see him do the soundtrack for that. And as I've talked about many times on this show before the Cyberpunk trailer even dropped, one of the things I said that game needs to get right for me to be really happy is I need that music. Why
don't they just get Skrillex to do the soundtrack?
Well, it's a joke, but at the same time, that is kind of the music.
I'm pretty sure he did the soundtrack for Syndicate.
He did, yeah.
Yeah. Another banned game.
It was banned in Australia. I was really excited. I remember when the trailer dropped, because the trailer came out and it was, really intense, doing it, and it had a song Skrillex did for it in the trailer. That was a new Skrillex song.
Yeah.
And I watched that trailer so many times. Like, fuck yes, this game's going to be amazing. Months pass, banned. Fuck you, Skrillex.
Fuck you, Skrillex. You're banned because we don't need any more of that dubstep in this country.
Yeah. Deadpool 2. That was one of the good parts of Deadpool 2, by the way. No spoilers, but I found that part whole funny. Next part comes from DualShockers once again, and they translated, from what I could tell, or used Google Translator, I guess. But it's from a Polish website, Bankier, and Giuseppe Nelva from DualShockers was interviewing Adam Kaczynski, who is the CEO and president of CG Project Orange, Red, Purple. And he said, they asked about if there would ever be any more Witcher games. And this is the CEO president responded, the first 3 Witcher games were by definition a trilogy. So we simply can't title the next game The Witcher 4. This does not mean, of course, that we will abandon the world of The Witcher, which we worked on for over a dozen years. And that players around the world would still love and ask for. The Witcher is one of the 2 franchises upon which we will build the future activities of the company. Today, unfortunately, I cannot reveal any more. Which I thought was really interesting, because up until this point, as far as I was aware, at any point in time, CD Projekt was basically denying or saying that they were done with The Witcher. It wasn't like, oh, maybe one day. It was always, it's done. It's over. The Witcher's done. Move on. Don't talk about it. Gwent, sure, Gwent's the thing, but main Witcher games, they're not happening anymore. So, I mean, obviously, if they do have rumblings in the background for a Witcher game, it would be that. It would be, rumblings, ideas, blah, 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 because obviously it's all hands on deck for Cyberpunk or people working on Gwent. They've still got a bunch of people working on Gwent off to the side as well, obviously. And people working on Gwent will probably be working on Gwent until the game dies, because it's obviously an esport now. Like, they're running tournaments, all sorts of things. Like, yeah, they've had proper tournaments, right? Why not? It's a fucking why do you mean of course it is? With Hearthstone and whatever the fuck else.
That's true.
Did you ever try it?
I think I've got it on my PS4. I might have played a little bit.
Did you play much Gwent on the Witcher 3?
No, I didn't play much of The Witcher 3.
Yeah. Because the thing with Gwent was, obviously, I played the fuck out of it in the Witcher 3 game, and when they announced, I don't know if it was the same for you, Nick, but when they announced that they was doing a solo game, I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. It'll probably be very casual. Because as far as I was concerned, the version of Gwent in The Witcher 3 was pretty casual. You could very easily break the system once you got the techniques down.
Yeah, once you get the elite gold cards
and the decoys and whatever the fuck else, you basically broke the game. You was like, cool, let's go. And then they put out Gwent and they changed.
What was your main deck?
The first one. No, the elves.
The Northern Kingdom. The Scoia'tael.
Yeah, Scoia'tael. That's the one. Because they had the most draw card effects, which attracted me.
I like Nilfgaard with all the spy cards.
Oh, want to see your opponent's hands. So when they put out Gwent, though, the real game, they changed so much of the rules and the cards. And
they've changed it now. There's only 2 rows instead of 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like the changes.
But I mean, people like it, and it's proven to be competitive and not as easily broken, I guess, as the...
Yeah, because it's the hardest thing. It was originally designed to be as essentially
single player.
Yeah.
And now they wanted people to be able to play against each other on the level of competitive card games like Hearthstone and whatever else.
Yeah.
But, as far as I'm concerned, people will be working on that Hearthstone team until forever. It's like when the game's out, but they're still working on that single player campaign, whatever the fuck that is. I don't personally
it's still technically not a full release.
I know it's not out, but it's basically out. It's like, is Fortnite out? No.
Perpetual early access.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's just so many games like this now, I suppose, is the thing. And it's like, when it even drops, they'll just get around to working on the next Gwent expansion pack or, something like that. So they'll be working on that for ages. I can see the possibility of a bunch of people off on the side slowly maybe working on ideas for The Witcher 4 or whatever, what it would actually be called.
Yeah.
If they were to do one. So I wasn't down for theorizing because I didn't think they would actually do it. Although I'm going to find it hard to believe that this person, the VP, was outspoken or speaking wrongly. What would you want from a Witcher 4 game, Nick? And if they're doing it, which this guy thinks, what are you going to put your bets? What do you want? What do you think it would be? And how far away do you think it would be?
I'm not even going to guesstimate on how far away it would be. But
Next year.
I'm in two minds. I kind of do and don't want, like, focused, I guess, on another Witcher in another school in the currently unmapped parts of the Witcher world. Like, I forget the names of them, but there's, like, places to the east that are, like, deserty, Middle Eastern kind of terrain and that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. I kind of want to see that part of the world, but on the other time, I also don't want to. I want to see what it's like coming from the mind of the author first, I guess.
That ain't gonna happen though.
Yeah, I know it's not gonna happen, but I'm kind of in two minds. Like, I don't think you could do it in any way involving Geralt or Ciri or anything like that, because all their stories are pretty much wrapped up at the end of 3.
You really don't think but here's the thing. Geralt's old, Like, he had so many adventures before the games even kick off, right?
Yeah.
And really, the adventures of the Witcher games, they're all these kind of... elements of plot carry over from 1, 2, 3, right? Sure. But each game's story, much like the books, is kind of self-contained to a degree, or particularly what it's dealing with. Because although the plot of The Witcher 3, the main plot is kind of you obviously trying to track down Ciri. That's connected to the other games. But then the other... Well, yeah, because Ciri's,
Ciri wasn't even a factor in the other two games.
Well, no, her character wasn't, but like backstory and type of stuff, I guess. No?
Not really. No.
But she was hint that, but that kind of proves my point. You just proved my point. Witcher 3, the whole story is just self-contained.
Not really, because it's kind of a continuation on from the novels.
From the what? Oh,
Novels.
The novels. Yeah, but
nobody read the novels, so it doesn't matter.
But no, well, yeah. I think with Witcher 4, the idea of the Ciri thing though. Ciri's young. As far as I'm concerned, yeah, she's hip. But she, depending on what ending you get at the end of Witcher 3, I suppose is the other aspect for Ciri's character. But with the ending I got, and the ending I like, and I'm quite happy with, and as far as I'm concerned, it's the canon one, is where she could go off and become, a Witcher, or go off and do her own adventures. Like, she's free now, kind of, is the gist of it. It's all the things that were tying her down in life before this are off, and she's free to roam the lands and go on these adventures. So you're talking about having them go to these other regions. Why can't Ciri go there?
In the books, it's also hinted at that the world that The Witcher takes place in is the real world as well, but just like further into the past. Like, I'd also like to see him maybe go
present
couple
day,
100 years into the future, see what the world's like then, I guess.
Yeah.
I just think there's no way they could do a story pertaining with the current cast of characters, or even just like Ciri, without making the majority of people unhappy, I guess.
I'm down for taking Ciri to a different region, far away from anything we know or people we know.
Yeah.
I don't care for Geralt because, well, Witcher 3 just wraps up his character so well, I suppose. Well, it's once again depending on your ending, but like as far as I'm concerned, it's just like here, you're done. That's your adventure. I don't really need more. If I want more, I'll go finish reading the books. But Siri, what was that look for? If you finish the Witcher games, you can go get more Geralt adventures by reading the books.
In my mind, I was thinking you meant past the end.
No. I just meant in general. If you want more Geralt, go read the books.
Yeah.
If I want
Which
more
you should
Ciri,
anyway, because they're fantastic books.
If I want more
should read them.
Siri, I need more games. The other interesting thing I saw, and I'll propose this theory. Do you want, and do you think there'll be a moment in Cyberpunk 2077 where they could have an Easter egg of Siri in the background or something?
Well, they pretty much, in The Witcher 3, said that she went there.
Yes. I mean, this is, at this stage, which is a very, very old game, so we're going into slight, spoilers, but like not big fucking spoilers, whatever. Because in The Witcher 3, actually you don't know because you just said you played the game for a hot 5 minutes. There's a sequence where Siri jumps through realms, I guess. Time, dimensional, I don't know, she jumps across different planes. 52 multiverses type shit happening. And one of the places she talks about visiting to Geralt is basically the world of Cyberpunk 2077. You know, flying vehicles, all sorts of nonsense. Very bright. I can't remember the exact description in the game, but because when that game came out and everyone knew that Cyberpunk was obviously being worked on at the time.
Yeah, they had a teaser trailer out.
When the game came out, she says the line, everyone goes, Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
That's what they're hinting at. Do you think they will commit and follow up on that, though, and actually have her show up in the game?
I don't want her to... I want it to be like an ancillary background conversation, like you're walking past someone goes, oh, it was crazy, this chick popped out of nowhere. I don't want to see her in the game at all.
I will take seeing her walking in the background of a cutscene or something. I don't want to be able to like chase her down the street like while I'm playing the game, but I'll take her walking in the background or something like that.
Yeah,
something.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that.
You don't know how you feel about that. I think it's really cool, and it's a cool idea. Obviously, people, even if they hide like a really, really hard to get Easter egg, like you know what you're saying just then about like two characters having that kind of conversation, but we don't know, the world's going to be big, so finding those two characters having that conversation could take some time and people to find.
I think they could do it like you're on a mission and like you're going through an apartment block and as you walk past they're having a conversation or something.
Yes. And if that's the way they do it, you just know that the internet we wake up one morning is blown up.
Yeah.
we're like, they're actually confirmed to be connected worlds. Oh my God. I mean, it doesn't do anything for either game because then they're not going to make like a crossover game because that's silly and it doesn't need to be done.
Or is
it's
it?
Still cool. Yeah, no, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I wish they did. Put a gun in Siri's hand. Sure, why not?
The Witcher 77, whatever the number is.
2077.
2077? Yeah. So yeah, we're going to get The Witcher 4. It's going to be Cyberpunk's being scored by the same guy. I'm excited. Now,
what's he going to score it?
10 out of 10. Wood music. The biggest story of last week, I think, though, is the Rainbow Six stuff. Are we all aware of this?
No.
Really?
Not really.
This shit was blowing up. So Rainbow Six.
Now I remember.
Is that where they're banning people for slurs?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Rainbow Six this week has put into a system where they implemented the system where they are auto banning people, and it's caused a huge fuss for some reason. And it's quite ridiculous, but if you don't know it, let's go for it. So the system is set up to automatically ban players from the game when they use abusive words in the in-game chat.
Is that text chat?
Yes.
Okay. Well, it's simple. Just don't text chat. Who uses the text chat anyway?
I don't know. The first offense ban's only 30 minutes, so you basically have to sit out the length of another round of the game. I guess is the 30 minutes type thing. Yeah. Second offence is 2 hours. Third offence is 2 hours. And 3 offences is an investigation that will be conducted and may lead to a permanent ban. So people are freaking out saying that they're banning people unjustly. They're taking away the people have spent money on this game. They're just getting banned easily by a robot system. Blah 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 blah. To which as soon as
It's
you look
quite
up,
simple. Just don't type whatever those words are.
Yeah.
well, I mean, you know what? We'll get to that in a second. But the thing with it to me that stands out straight away is the only way people are getting their accounts permanently banned isn't even by a robot. It's after that many times, and then they have an actual human investigate you and decide if you do need to be actually banned. So it's not like flip your lid, they've put robots in charge of the system, they're just banning people unjustly. Calm your farm. However, of course, you know what the gaming nerd babies are like. That's
This reminds me of people that get speeding fines and then complain that the cops are out to get them, whereas the simple fact is if you weren't speeding, you would have got fined.
Yeah.
But, well, you know what everyone's writing, right?
Don't break the rules and you don't get into trouble. It's fucking simple.
So the story blew up for this. It was the original tweet was from a guy called, I don't know how to pronounce his username, but he said, at Rainbow Six Game, fuck you guys, I just got banned for saying N-word in chat. To which, yeah, I mean, this is the word.
The sympathy is pouring out for you.
Oh,
To which-
so sad.
To which Rainbow Six Game replied, good, full stop. And then it was getting quote retweeted, like, good fucking job. And then the reverse was obviously all these people saying, fuck you, blah, 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 blah. And, but the guy's response is what got me. The guy responded to the good, and in typical gamer fashion, you know, oh, this is good. But when a guy fucks all the team and just de-ranks them, doesn't even get a ban, you know this is unfair.
I think a lot of the outrage is, obviously, it's ridiculous, but they haven't released a list of words of what will get you banned.
Well, how can you release a list of words?
Well, it's like
Easy.
it's offensive words, which I mean, look,
But does the word
game's rated-
does the word cunt get you banned?
I don't know.
Hope
I
not.
don't think
Because,
it is.
like, in that, like, it's a common, especially for us Australians, that it's used in everyday conversation.
I highly doubt it is. As far as I'm aware, from everything I've seen from people posting, the 2 words that people have got banned for are the N word and the F word, and not fuck, the homophobic slur.
The bundle of sticks.
Yes. To which point you can't argue that those 2 words are.
No,
Exactly.
not at all.
So
And I guess you kind of have an argument if, like, how black people use it, I guess.
that is an argument that's come up. And that is a thin plank to be walking on.
Yeah, because then you can, like, what kind of proof? Like, how does
You
the
need
person on
photo
the
ID.
receiving end not know that the person who typed it is in fact
Well,
black
that's
as well?
presuming that's the presumption, and that's
Yeah.
also another thing that everyone jumps to, saying, "Oh, black people are fine with the N word," which
Yeah.
isn't the case.
No.
And that's the reason I don't think this argument flies, because there are a lot of black people that aren't fine with the N word.
Yeah.
And you'll see people arguing that, well, I'm black, I should be allowed to say it, and other people in the comments that are black saying, I hate that word. Like, get rid of it. Like, it upsets me. So it's like some gay people, for some reason, and I know one that will quite happily say that, like, call other gay people the bundle of sticks.
Yeah.
Does that mean it's okay? No, because the other 99%, the agreed upon thing is it's not a nice word, and most people don't like it. So it's an interesting take where you're like, well, how about black people that like saying the word? It's one of those things, but then.
But I think it comes down to, at the end of the day, Ubisoft owns the game. This is their rules. If you don't like it, don't play it.
That is
Yep.
exactly right, and that's the
It's not limiting free speech when you're entering into a terms of service and using a private, I don't know, service, I guess.
how many people do you think I've seen writing comments to these stories But what about free speech? But do herp, herp, herp.
Yeah. It's,
So many. It's hard not to be like fucking Americans because that's always their fucking.
you know what gets me is the Australians that, like, and other countries that say when Australia explicitly has no right to free speech.
No, we don't have a straight up. I mean, where do people think that whole thing? That's one thing. Americans are like, we got free speech. It's like, well, technically, yeah, you do. However, whatever argument you're using, whenever I see people using the argument, like in this Rainbow Six case, like, what happened to free speech, Herbert? It's like, that's not
It
what
only works in
means.
real life.
It only works. It's not. I mean, I've said this so many times over and over. Like, it's the whole thing. Like, I've had to deal with obviously admin stuff in Facebook groups where people yelling at me about freedom of speech and stuff, and it's always just. It's a fucking group, dude. The rules are whatever they make. Like when you join a group, you agree to the rules. When you agree to play a video game, you agree to terms and conditions. When you fucking enter a theme park, you agree to terms and conditions. You can do what you want in your own fucking house.
Yeah.
Stand in your shower, fucking swear whatever words you want to do whatever you need to
And
do.
I'd do that. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. If you want to make your own video game, you can do whatever the fuck you want. I mean, go look on Steam and some of the trash they're allowing to be published on there. And I mean, that's not a conversation I want to get into, but that's something. Well, I'm like, Steam as a platform should be taking a stand against some of this shit, but the fact remains that some people out there are just making video games that are throwing their free speech card around quite merrily and doing whatever the fuck they want. And Steam's going, well, free speech, I guess. You can fucking do whatever the hell you want, but. Yeah, this Rainbow Six thing, that it just is so simple to me, but people will argue about it for threads and threads and threads. But it's just like, game, terms and conditions. Yeah, do you agree? Do you not agree? You obviously don't agree, so don't play the fucking game.
Yeah.
That's what it boils down to. It's so simple, yet apparently not. It's fucking crazy, and. These things. I laughed so long about this guy's response. I was this good, but when a guy fucks all his team and deranks, he doesn't get a ban. It's like, well, yeah, no, well, fucking these bad words, but what about fucking
Sounds
feeders?
like it's straight out of Overwatch.
Yeah. Well, yes. This is as someone who used to play League of Legends quite heavily, competitive games. There's something about them that just attracts a level of toxicity.
What I don't understand if you're that serious about your competitiveness and rankings and stuff like that, why are you playing with a bunch of randoms anyway?
Well, people solo queue. It's no different than, even if you like solo queue in most games. It's like you're playing Fortnite. You solo queue. You duo. You're a squad. You Rainbow Six. You solo. You're squad. League of Legends. You solo. You duo. You're in a team.
No, Rainbow Six is always a team.
They're always teams, but you're not with a team.
No,
that
Fortnite's not a team if you go solo.
Oh yeah, that's true. I don't. I've only played one match. I thought everyone
Bad
was on my
analogy
side.
is bad.
I thought everyone was on my side. I've only played one match. I don't understand the game. They updated it. What they changed? Sorry, we didn't do a Fortnite story this week. How the fuck are we going to make it in the video game world if we don't talk about Fortnite? Cover
Okay,
the
so
bases.
in the World
Cover
Cup
the
this
bases,
morning,
thank you. Okay.
after a French striker scored a goal off a penalty kick, he went and did an emote dance. The loser won.
From Fortnite?
From Fortnite, yes.
It's huge. I don't know if you're aware, Nick, the Fortnite thing.
There's
been
our,
doing-
there's our weekly quota of a Fortnite.
There has been a lot of that happening at this World Cup.
I believe the same guy did it earlier during the tournament against somebody else as well.
You would have watched all the World Cup, wouldn't you, Ash?
Not all of it. I watched the highlights. It's too early in the morning.
Yes, it is
Too early in the morning.
Sleep is more important,
Is it?
especially when Australia's not playing anymore.
Ah.
Yeah,
To be fair, Australia never really played.
they showed up.
Covered our sports talk.
They had a free holiday.
Better
to
than
Russia.
America and Italy.
There was
I
a
mean,
return
season
Grand-
5 came out this week, so
Grandstand Gurus was back on the Explosion Network for a whole 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Moving on. Got a question from Michael. Well, it's one I've been saving the last couple of weeks when the episode kept going too long. If you want to send a question into the show, join our Discord, explosionnetwork.com/Discord. Find the way to submit it there. That's probably the easiest way to go about it these days, I feel, honestly. The best way. He says, what do you think about the rise of popularity of in-game photo modes? Nick?
They're fine. I don't like using them mostly, but
Why?
they're there. I don't know. I just don't really like to use them.
I went to you first.
I like the idea of them being there, and I've tried to use them every now and again, but I just feel like I can never, I don't know, capture the amazing screenshots that you see getting around on the internet.
Because I
lose interest playing with the settings after like 5 seconds.
Well, you're someone who obviously does photography as a hobby.
Yeah.
Right? I was about to say, yeah. What's your Instagram? There you go, pump your Instagram. There you go.
At Lord... No. N.Pro Photography.
There you go. Got it. Put you on the spot. So, yeah, I mean, I swung it to you first, obviously, for that reason, because the whole... The photography interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think I've got some of the... I don't think I've got any shots out of it like I see online. Some truly amazing stuff.
Yeah.
However, I've got some shots that I think look pretty good. Like I've put up some stuff like from Assassin's Creed and whatever the fuck else on my Instagram that I've been like, this is pretty good. And
Like the one of Bayek going upside down from...
yes, that's a pretty good one. It's silly, but I do think that's a pretty good shot. And so that's in games where you have control of the settings, you know? So Assassin's Creed Origins, you can control a bunch of settings, you control the focal point.
I think it's mandatory in every first-party PlayStation game these days.
It feels like it. God of War recently added it.
After much demand, I don't think
Last
Detroit
of Us
had
have
it.
it.
So Detroit didn't have it, though.
Their second party.
That's true.
I feel like that game would have done well with it, too, though. Last of Us added it, obviously, all these Uncharted games, et cetera, et cetera. And these are all ones where they've got the full built-in free roam the camera around, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Depth of field, all that kind of stuff.
All that sort of stuff. Even the Switch has added in stuff like, I got a few decent shots out of Mario Odyssey, which has a photo mode, not as in-depth as Horizon or Assassin's Creed or stuff, but it's still got options in there. Some other games...
I personally think it's great for the people. Like, I've read an article, I can't remember now how long ago it was, but it was a guy that they recently discontinued some third-party program that you would be able to get into Battlefield and, like, change settings, time of day and all that kind of stuff to create screenshots. And they kind of, like, banned it from use, I guess. But it's great for those kind of people that really enjoy getting in there and taking screenshots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it just hits an itch for me because with Assassin's Creed, even with Assassin's Creed 2, I would do the whole... And I mean, graphically, that game doesn't hold up these days. But back when I played it when it first released, I'd climb when I first climbed on top of one of those eagle, jump points, viewpoints, I am the type of person that will just sit there... Yeah, sync points. I am the kind of person who will do the slow camera pan. I just sit there for a couple minutes, just slow panning around going, this looks great. Fuck yes, this looks amazing.
After the game is just slow pan for you.
Yeah, no, because you want to do it yourself because you do what you want. But, I'm that kind of person. So I think because that's kind of what I would do in games anyway, the photo mode allows me to go swing the camera around and then try and fuck around with it for a bit and get a cool screenshot. And I like doing that. I like doing it from a social point too, because obviously it's a cool thing to share. Like, here's a cool photo I got from this game, blah, 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 blah. And I think it's good for the player, but it's also a good tool that works well for the game developers, of course, because it is free publicity out the ass, basically. And even if it's a bad game and people are getting cool photos from it or from glitches or something, it's still good publicity.
Yeah.
Just for the game. Have you ever spent much time fucking around with any of this stuff, Ash?
No, not really. I enjoyed looking at other people's stuff because they're good at it.
You know what FIFA should add a photo mode so you can capture all those glitches?
Yeah. Well, I guess technically got the highlight mode, but I don't know how in depth.
Yeah, do replays count as a... I don't think that counts as a...
No, because they've had that since like PS1, surely. Highlight.
Like if you could like edit it, put it together like a cool highlight package.
Yeah. FIFA would actually be a legit good game with like a proper photo mode where you can swing the camera through, get wherever the fuck you want.
A lot of EA sports games, because there's some screenshots like coming out from Madden
looks
where
real.
they're down on the ground behind the quarterback and the stadium lighting's coming down and like it's raining and stuff like that. It
You
almost
take
looks
awesome
photorealistic.
shots of Tom Brady getting sacked constantly. Sports reference.
Sorry, did you just hear something, Dylan?
I was about to say, I think that was a shit talk, but I didn't really get it, but I'm pretty sure it was a shit talk, so it was funny.
How are the Broncos going this year, Ash?
Denver, they haven't played yet.
You know what I mean.
Yeah. We're in the finals. Let's keep going.
Yeah, right. Yeah, sure.
But yeah, I've seen people online say, I don't know if this is where Michael's question is coming from, but I've seen circles of people, professional photographers and such, complain about photo modes in games. I don't know why. I don't understand the argument. I haven't read into it too much because I scroll
from a
on.
lot of photography groups that I'm part of. A lot of them are very precious about their hobby.
The hobby, their art form, whatever. Yeah. I mean, I've seen it. I know that these threads exist. However, because I just think it's stupid and ridiculous, I just scroll on. And I'm all for, if I thought it was a legit argument to have, maybe I would have clicked on it and gone, what is your point of view on this? But it's one of those things where I'm like, it's not affecting you at all. Fuck off. Like, just scroll on. I'm not, it's not a thing. It's not something you should be
It's not even something like even a pressing issue in the photography industry. Like, if you want to argue about something, argue about, I guess, people like putting their pictures out there for free, which in turn devalues professional photographers' skills and like their business, I guess. Which is like the same. It's an argument these days for a lot of things, but the advent of digital photography and then people just putting everything online and then giving away their work for free, kind of like with graphic designers and stuff like that. Like you see the threads on Twitter and stuff saying, even there was like a thread not too long ago, a guy used the picture for the cover of the book and like badmouth the artist saying whatever, but not worth the money and stuff like that. Kind of devalues the work.
Well, I mean, that's a whole conversation, but yeah,
exactly. That's
see,
an argument you can be having as opposed to, photo modes aren't real photography.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about real conversations, whereas I think this is not even a real conversation. It's
exactly.
It's ridiculous. And as far as I'm concerned, it's nothing but positives. It's fun. It's not something that everyone will use. However, I have fun with it. And then, there's people I follow on Twitter. There's a couple really good accounts that post really, really good stuff. And even like that stuff, like that account I can't remember the account's name. It's like Suri something or whatever, but it just posts GIFs. Like he's most known for just posting like PlayStation GIFs and stuff. And he did like a fucking amazing.
Sorry, it's GIF.
It's GIF until the end of the show. Like he posts all these amazing GIFs, and that's not
what the household cleaner.
Cleaning products.
It's not photo mode per se, but it's still. I quite living in this world where people are making these really cool shots or like cool moments from video games. These like very arty type stuff too. It's not just like here's a picture of fucking Call of Duty 2, PS2 era stuff. Like, games look good enough these days and have such great art style and art direction and whatever else that you can get some really, really great stuff from it that you could hang on your wall, basically. And, like, someone could walk in and see some of this stuff from Assassin's Creed and be like, what's that? Oh, it's, you could lie. And people, I think, would be like, oh. They wouldn't even question it. Be like, oh, it's not from
Well, I often see threads in, like, Gran Turismo subreddits or gaming subreddits saying like they posted this picture and people legitimately thought it was a real picture.
Yeah, well, are they the ones for where you can put like the car and like real life locations and stuff like that? Yeah. So when I'm
even them going around the track and stuff like that,
oh really?
Yeah.
Some of those, because the cars in Gran Turismo in the gameplay, I think They don't look as good. They look really fucking realistic when they're standing still, I think. And the photo mode in Gran Turismo, you can like go to a certain place in the world and then like turn the headlights on and off, open the door. Like you fucking have all these settings, like park the car in whichever way and like outside the fucking Louvre or some ridiculous shit like that. And you're like, when you take the screenshot, it's, especially if you make it darker, because that's the other thing. It's like if you take it during daytime, maybe take it during night, headlights on. It's like, this shit looks legit. It's crazy. So, but that's the day and age we live in now. So, game photography, 10 out of 10 would look at it. That's it for this week's show. Thank you all for coming along for the 69th night special of Platinum Explosion. Where can people follow you, Ash?
You can follow me on Twitter at Ashley Hobley, ASHLEYHOBLEY.
You got it.
It's a nice thing.
It's a nice thing? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you. Nick, where can people follow you?
At The Real Photographer.
You know that account's going to go somewhere. Maybe not
Yeah.
nice. What happens when
it
one
might
day
be too long.
What happens when you say an account that's like a neo-Nazi type thing or something like that? And
Oh, well.
We get backlash, I guess.
you're just reporting. You can follow me on Twitter at Vivaladil, VIVALADIL. You can follow this show, Platinum Explosion, at Plat Podcast on Twitter. You can follow the Explosion Network, of which this is a product of, at Explosion Pod. Don't forget to rate the show on iTunes or whatever else you want to do. Podchaser. Is that what it's called?
Yep.
There you go. Podchaser.
Stitcher.
Rate us on your mum's face. Tell a friend. That'll be great too. Join our Discord, as we already mentioned. ExplosionNetwork.com/Discord. Have many great chats with family and friends. Family are only there if you invite your mum. This, of course. You can find all the other great articles at ExplosionNetwork.com. Reviews, news, the hottest tips.
Come for the articles, stay for the nudes.
That's a pretty good tagline, actually. Just stay with that.
Wait, did you say news or nudes?
Well, I don't care. End the show.
Episode 69.
Beatbox your way over to early late nights. Every Tuesday and Friday, you can join Kieran Marchant live on twitch.tv/Explosion Network from 6:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Kieran will be there breaking down the latest in gaming news, esports, and his thoughts on the latest releases. Join him live on Twitch and chat along or chuck some questions his way. And stick around after the show as he plays some games for you. If you can't watch live, you can find early late nights on youtube.com/Explosion Network and podcasting services, including iTunes, the following day. In case you missed it, Australia now is Amazon Prime, so if you're thinking about subscribing just for the free shipping or any of the other offers they offer, you do indeed get a free Prime subscription to use on Twitch with your subscription. So if you'd like to chuck it our way, we'd appreciate the extra buck. But if not, at least chuck that at someone. You might as well use it. You've got it. Flaunt it if you've got it. Got it. Flaunt it if you've got it. Bye.